The Miller of Dee. By Charles Mackay. Charles Mackay, 1814 to 1889. Was born in Perth, Scotland. He spent his early life in France. Later he shifted to London and took to journalism. He also wrote History of London City. The Miller of the Dee is a beautiful song with a message. Here the poet says that it is only the richness of heart and not material wealth or power which makes a man happy. Love, simplicity and kindness to others should be one's natural approach for a happy and contented life. Let's look at the poem. The Miller of Dee. By Charles Mackay. Stanza 1. There dwelt a miller, hale and bold, beside the river Dee. He worked and sang from morn till night. No lark more blithe than he. And this the burden of his song forever used to be. I envy nobody dash. No, not I. And nobody envies me. Explanation. There lived a miller near a river called Dee. He was very happy and had no worry about anything. He remained busy from morning to night in his work of grinding grains for making flour. While working, he was habitual of singing songs for his own amusement. He sang that he was not envious of anyone and the people were also not envious of him. The poet also says that his song was more soothing even than that of the sweet-singing bird lark. Stanza 2. Thou art wrong, my friend, said good King Hal, as wrong can be. For could my heart be light as thine, I'd gladly change with thee. And tell me now, what makes thee sing with voice so loud and free, while I am sad, though I am king, beside the river Dee? Explanation. Once a king named Hal happened to reach there. He told the miller that he was absolutely wrong in what he sang about. The king was envious of the miller's happiness. So he wished to exchange his own heart with that of the miller. He wished to make his own heart free from tensions. The king's heart has the load of worries while the miller's heart was light and free from worries of life. After that the king asked to tell him the reason as to what made him sing so loudly and as to how he could manage to feel free from worries of life. The king also admitted that he was very much sad although he was a king. Stanza 3. The miller smiled and doffed his cap. I earn my bread, quoth he. I love my wife, I love my friend. I love my children 3. I owe no penny I cannot pay. I thank the river Dee, that turns the mill that grinds the corn, that feeds my babes and me. Explanation. The miller took off his cap from his head smilingly. He said that he worked to earn his livelihood. He loved his wife and 3 children. He also loved his friends. He did not have any loan to pay. He further told the king that he was very thankful to the river Dee that ran his flour mill by the current of its water and made flour by crushing the grains. Thus he fed his family. Stanza 4. Good friend, said Hall, and sighed the while. Farewell, and happy be. But say no more. If thou'dst be true, that no one envies thee. Thy mealy cap is worth my crown, thy mill my kingdom's fee. Such men as thou are England's boast, O Miller of the Dee. Explanation. In the end, the king took a long breath and bade the miller good by giving him blessings. He also advised him never to say that no one was envious of him. He also added that his cap covered with flour was more valuable than his crown. Similarly his flour mill was more precious than his kingdom and England was proud of such men like the miller, who were the backbones of a country. Summary of the poem. There lived a miller beside the river Dee. He lived a very contented life. He sang a song I envy nobody. No, not I. And nobody envies me. Happily every day from morning till evening. One day, the king Hal passed by his mill and heard him happily singing the song. The king told him that the miller was quite wrong. He inquired the miller on what made him sing in such carefree voice. while the king was sad even though he was king. The miller greeted the king and replied that he loved his wife, 3 children and his friends. He also has no debt to pay and that the River Dee helped him run the mill and make his living. And that these were the reasons why he was always happy. At last, the king said farewell to the miller. The king though told him not to say that nobody envied him, because the king now envied the miller of his life. He said that the miller's mealy cap was as valued as the crown of the king, and his mill was the cost of his kingdom. The king also mentioned that such sincere and loyal people like the miller are the pride of England. As he left the place. End of the poem. And summary.